Guys, let's talk about the $1 million question. I get this question more than often that Sahil, I am very well settled in my home country. I have a very good corporate job. It pays me really well. I'm in the top 1% of the employment situation. Maybe I'm a very well-read, educated individual, and I'm in the topmost corporate job, or maybe I have a very settled and comfortable life. And should I leave all of that and come to Canada to make a fresh start? Do I leave my corporate settled life to make a fresh start in Canada? Is the Canadian PR worth it? Well, this $1 million question requires a lot of dwelling and a lot of background, and the more you think on it, the deeper you get into it. I will try to answer this question with regards to my professional experience, personal experience with tons of immigrants so far, having lived in Canada as an immigrant. I will give you my inputs and my view into it. If this is your question too, then you must watch this video till the very end. My name is Sahil and see you on the other side. Guys, welcome back once again. My name is Sahil and I'm a regulated Canadian immigration consultant and I practice in Ontario. My office is here. If you have to get in touch with me, my number is on the screen and the details are there in the description box. More than happy to connect with you. Before we proceed any further, please make sure that you hit the subscribe button and the bell icon because we talk a lot about Canadian immigration. And if you are an aspirant of coming to Canada, then this is a channel that you must be subscribed to all the time. So guys, we are discussing the $1 million question, which talks about your amazing settlement and your well settlement in your home country as of today. And the very important question that Sahil, do I leave that well settled corporate life with a good, well paying corporate job? And should I make this switch to Canada? Should I take up this PR and make it, a journey of a lifetime? Is it going to be worth it? Now, guys, just to give you a quick background, that I also belong to a very well settled corporate, life back in India. I worked with the top Forbes 100 companies globally, and I left all of that, came to Canada. Well, as an immigrant, I've been here for over 4 years almost now, and I am, by virtue of my profession, I am connected to tons of immigrants. I help them come here, and the grass is not always greener on the other side because everybody's life is filled with perspective. Now, anybody who sees a glass half filled the other might see it glass, half empty. Now, I've had this opportunity to connect with tons of people with varied backgrounds, right from investors to startup entrepreneurs to people who are into jobs, self-employed professionals, and all of them. And because this is what I do, 24/7, I can give you at least my input and my perspectives. And this very important topic requires a lot of research also, right? So because everybody's individual identity is different, everybody's family life is different, so I'm not giving you a legal advice to come to Canada, or I'm not saying that you must make this trip, because it could be comfortable for somebody and it could be very uncomfortable for somebody. It could make sense for somebody and it could be not even worth a penny for somebody else. So everybody must do the due diligence, the analysis, decide based on your personal situation. But I can definitely give you a lot of anecdotes and these indicators today in this video. Now, guys, what I think is that before even thinking of Canada, you should dwell into the main important topic as to why exactly do you want to leave your current country. Okay, a person might have several reasons. So some people are driven by insecurity, some people are driven by safety issues in a particular country, some people are also driven by money matters, and some people are driven by expansion of businesses. Some people think that, okay, I have enough here and I want to give my kids a better life, or maybe I want to give myself a better lifestyle and a better life standard. Now, what I personally think here is that everybody finds an exit strategy that, okay, we want to do it for our kids. Guys, that is something that everybody wants. That's a standard, right? There is no parent in this world who would not want to give his or her children a better future. So keep that aside because that's an easy escape strategy, right? So just thinking about your kids, it's not a good strategy to make your decision on, right? Because as an individual, you also have to undertake this journey. So make sure that you give yourself a due important reason as to why exactly do you want to leave your settled life in a particular country. I'll give an example. So I was speaking to this, I recently spoke to these two people. One of them is a unicorn founder, a startup in India, founder of that company, and the other one was an employee of the same company because I also had worked there, but he was settled in a different country, right? He was heading the country. He was a country manager. He is a country manager of that company in a different country. Both of them are doing amazingly well and earning amazingly. They're in the top 1% of the earning strata, and both of them are not interested in coming to Canada. I was really surprised, and I kept on asking them more and more. And I know, and recently I spoke to this one more professional who's working with the top 4 consulting groups. In fact, he's also not ready to come. He's settled in the southern parts of India. He doesn't want to come. And the keynote answer that he gave me, that Sahil, okay, I don't plan my future. If it is written for me to come to Canada, I will, but I'm not making any dedicated efforts, right? Now I'm talking about people with those backgrounds, and then if they ask me that, okay, why I'm thinking of coming to Canada, do you think I should leave that settled life and should I come to Canada? I would say, there are a couple of things that you must note as to before you make this decision. First of all, establish your priority. Why do you want to come to Canada? Is it about earning money, or is it about a work-life balance, or maybe you have certain issue in your back home? Maybe it's a safety or insecurity issue, or maybe a standard of life, right? Because you've earned something and you want a better standard. Or maybe it could be, say, a business issue, right? Say, for example, you want to expand, and because you want to expand, you want to sustain that expansion in a particular country. You want that, right? That's the first thing that you need to decide upon. If you think you want to earn more money, then you want to recheck your decision, because Canada can give you money, but it comes with a lot of hard work. It's not easy to earn money here. Now, if you're thinking that you'll become a millionaire overnight, my friend, you're mistaken, because that is not going to happen in an overnight journey. It takes time, it takes effort, hard work, performance, and you're coming from a background that is well established in a different country. Here, things can be very, very different. I know this sales guy who was a rock star sales guy in India. He was doing, amazingly well in a particular company. And when he came to Canada in the same company, he wasn't doing that well. So it took him 4 years to come back to where he is today. Now he is doing good, but it took him 4 years and probably a decision where he had booked his flights to go back home. He actually came back from there, right? So it might not be all good and fancy the day you land. So couple of things with regards to jobs, because we're talking about jobs only, right? So if you think that you have a well settled job or a good corporate job and you want to make this switch, couple of things you need to know. One, if you are in a good position or a good designation, you might have to come down a bit. Say, for example, you're a manager in your particular country, you might want to start at a much lower position, right? That's the reality of the whole situation. Struggle is in the blood of Canadians. Now, especially for newcomers, new immigrants, struggle awaits you, and it is the bare truth. And when I talk about struggle, it is not just about roaming in the snow on the buses. But struggle is also struggling to get a grip with adjusting into the situation, the work style, the work-life balance and everything. That is also part of the struggle. Buying a house, maybe one person earning or the second person is not earning, maybe not having enough money, is also a part of the struggle, right? So you need to make sure that you are ready for that struggle. The second thing that you need to know is that finding a first job in Canada will not be easy. Changing a job in Canada can be challenging, and also finding the first job is not easy. You'll see that there is a change in paradigm of hiring. It is not as simple as just sending a resume and you getting hired. Next would be that yes, in Canada, bureaucracy and red tapeism is not much, which means you cannot get your way up the ladder just by praising somebody, right? Or giving gifts, because that will only take you as far. Canada loves performance-based appraisals and performance-based issues. In fact, I still remember there was a very important line that you're only as good as your last sale. And it's not, in Canada, it is not only applicable to sales guys, it is also applicable to people who are performing in regular jobs. So, the more you perform or the better you perform, that is where you can, expect to continue your job at least. Next, in Canada, upscaling and upgrading is an essential part of your existence. People do not get professional growth as expected. Here, appraisals can be very little, so 1%, half a percent, 2%, 3% max. In India, for example, a switch can give you 30-40% raise. In Canada, that is not going to happen. That is not common to see. Okay. Here, professional growth is not easy. It comes slow, and you need to continuously upgrade and upscale yourself. If you do not do that, then expect to be outnumbered or expect stagnancy at your current position. In India, for example, you could get away with your past performance. In Canada, that is not going to happen. Okay, so you need to continue to perform, continue to innovate, continue to develop, and continue to grow professionally if you want to do it to yourself, right? So that is really, really important. So guys, the next thing to note here is that salary at even the higher levels in Canada or maybe at a junior level, there is an incomparity to some extent. There is not a considerable amount of difference. So just in case if you think that you're coming from a senior level to a junior level, it will not be that you're going to lose a lot of money. So the salaries, the taxes and the expenses in Canada are so high that it sometimes becomes important for both the members of the family to earn in order to sustain higher living standards. Say for example, owning a house or maybe owning expensive cars and stuff like that. So for that, it generally becomes important because of the taxation and everything, right? So just like, for example, in India, if somebody is on a higher package of say 36 lakhs or 40-50 lakhs, just by one earning member, you can still sustain a very, very good, above, higher than a middle class standard of living, which in Canada can become difficult in times because if you're owning a house and stuff like that, things can get pretty expensive and the second person might also have to work. So I would always say that have a look at the after-tax salary and also the kind of rentals and the kind of house ownership cost and everything that you're looking at, and then try to make a decision, right? So because salary can be a little bit of a gray area where you need to really focus hard. The other thing that I would want to say is that apart from these important focuses, whenever you're looking with respect to a job only, right? So like I said, finding a job may not be easy. You might have to struggle a bit or get challenged in terms of changing a job. You might have to start a bit lower than your original band or maybe the level of seniority in a company, and then all the other things of upscaling, upgrading, professional growth, and then appraise and everything. That overall my own takeaway from the life in Canada is that in terms of career, it may be rewarding for a lot, for some people. It may not be that rewarding for people who are looking for a lot of high action or maybe quick changes or maybe lot of action at the workplace. For them, they might get a bit more taken aback because Canada really is a country where people focus on work-life balance. They're not as aggressive employees because in Canada, another thing to note is that if you're coming to Canada for work-life balance, you're in for a very good treat because here people respect your time, right? So they respect your hours, the time that you're putting in, and everybody is expected to have vacations off and a good work-life balance, giving time to family and all. But if you think that work is your life and you can give 6 days a week or you can work hard, so another country might be more rewarding because there, if you put in more efforts, you get more returns. But in Canada, nobody puts in efforts beyond the 5 days a week schedule. Beyond that, beyond the 8 hours a day, everybody is just off the grid. People really focus on their life and people really focus on, their families, vacations, kids and all of that. If you're in for that, then you're for a treat. But if that is not your lifestyle, if you're a single person who's really looking high action, very high growth, becoming a CXO in a short time, 30 under 30, 40 under 40, make your decision wisely, because you need to do a lot of research, my friend. Undoubtedly, Canada can give you a better life for your kids. Kids can grow up stress-free, free education, free medical, good support for for kids when they grow up, good support during the education years. All of that is a treat for kids. All of that is really, really helpful. The standard of living, for sure, I would say that it does get better. The standard of living in Canada is way better than the other developing countries. But there's a perspective to it, guys. See, so for example, in Canada, you do not get any domestic help, right? You do not get anybody to carry your bags to the office. You do not get any sort of help. If you're off, if you don't want to work, if you don't want to clean the dishes, nobody will be available to do it. If you want to hire somebody, it will be very, very expensive, right? On the other hand, in India or anywhere else, you will be able to focus more on your work while you have somebody else to do the not so important tasks in life, so that you can focus more on your the important aspects of life. Well, depends upon the perspective. What do you call a better standard of life? You can get a great standard of life in India also, with a higher salary. Whereas if you think only driving a Tesla would be a better standard of life, then for sure Canada is there for you. But if you want to drive a Mercedes in India with a driver in front, then India it is. But driving a Tesla by yourself, without any driver, for sure Canada is your piece, right? So there's a difference in perspective. Like I said, Canada is rewarding for some people. It may not be as rewarding for some people, but the difference in opinion is only based on perspective. The difference in opinion will be based on what you expect out of life. Okay, whether it all boils down to the same question again. Why do you want to leave your current country? What is the reason of your movement to another country? What exactly are you looking for? Are you looking for high action professionally? Are you looking for more money? Or are you looking for better work-life balance? Are you tired? Do you want to retire? Or, you're looking for a better standard of living? Or at the end of the day, it's the same vanilla answer. I want a better life for my kids. Because better life for kids, it can give better life for kids, but it can give you frustration, right? So better life for kids, for sure, everybody knows it's better. But to give that better life, you will also have to dedicate at least 20 to 30 years here, right? So if you are 30, another 40 years, you will have to live here. So you will have to leave your jobs and do everything. So can you sustain those 40 years in frustration, if just in case if you don't like it, right? So don't give yourself the answer that I want a better life for kids. Rather make the decision based on whether you can sustain it by yourself or not, because you need to make that decision very importantly, right? So I would recommend that do your research properly. Think whether you want to make this shift or not, whether you want a better work-life balance, or you want a better standard of living, or maybe you want high action at the work front. You're okay with stepping down a bit and then regaining traction. You will have to do that research. Get in touch with professionals on LinkedIn similar to your profession. Get in touch with people who are in your company, probably similar to yours, and then take some feedback professionally. See how your profession is performing. Do a bit of a research on job bank, indeed.ca, and then you will be able to make that important decision that whether Canada is meant for you or not. Well, these are some of the points. I think you can definitely get into more research and make the decision for you. If there's anything else that I can help you with regards to your Canadian immigration application, do feel free to reach out to us. Please feel free to book a consultation, and I would be more than happy to speak with you. Once again, I wish you all the best, and I really hope to see you soon in Canada. All the best.